think I always made the comment that once a miller, always a miller.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! Good Evans, he's done it again. Another promotion for the big man.
I've got 12 bottles of champagne in my office and we're going to drink them all night.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. We're going to win. We won a game. We scored some goals. This most negative of podcasts can finally talk about something good. And I can't tell you how happy I am that we're going to talk about something good today. We will talk about a 2-1 win. There's loads to talk about. After about the 75th, whatever it was. But there's loads to talk about, which we'll go through the next hour or so. Mick, how are we? Busy weekend?
I'm all good, mate. Yeah, I've got my happy clapper pants on already, ready and waiting. Can't wait to go.
Yeah. Danny's back. How are we doing? Actually, Danny's at the birthday weekend. How's Danny?
I think I've recovered from my hangover. Don't drink juniper 4 in a row because it's like kerosene. And yeah, anyway, I'm doing great. I got to see the game come in just before work, and I think that's the reason we won. It's none of this. Malik Wilks having a phenomenal game, Danny Ward getting sent off. It's none of that. It's because I wasn't at work, and that's why we won.
Spoiler alert, Danny.
Spoiler alert.
Tom's back. Only see you a couple of days ago. How are you doing, Tom?
Yeah, all good, all good. It makes the weekend a lot sweeter, doesn't it?
Absolutely does. And Ben's back. Ben, not wearing your new Rotherham purple T-shirt, or goalkeeper shirt. Where's that gone?
No, it's in my wardrobe, mate. Sorry to disappoint you.
You're the odd one out, is all I'm saying, really.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
By way of a change.
Yeah. Thank you all who joined us on Friday for the transfer deadline show, which, as is becoming a bit of a theme with deadline day, a pointless few hours where nothing happens. And then we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Evans shed a bit of light on that, didn't he, today? On Saturday with Paul Davis. So we'll talk about that as well. We've got a question to start with. As always, we ask for questions. This one's from our Discord group, which you can still join if you're not part of it. Craig asked us, he wants to go with a positive one. He wants to know, how great was it to finally have a sustained atmosphere, Mick, particularly in the second half? And I agree. There was a good atmosphere yesterday. And it's funny, isn't it? You play decent football, you create some chances, and the atmosphere comes with it. It's simple for me. Really, it's simple.
I mean, who knew? Who knew? If you entertain people, they get excited by it. It's a novel idea. It's a novel approach. Yeah, it was a lot better, particularly second half. We laid siege to them in the second half, didn't we? So it lifted the atmosphere, and it was a nice place to be again. It's been a long time since we had that. 2 seasons almost. What it feels like. So yeah, it was good. It was good atmosphere, and hopefully that'll translate into some better performances moving forward at home. But I mean, it's been seen, doesn't it?
Of course it does. Yeah, absolutely. Usually we start the first comment in. Good evening, one and all. Best football at New York for a couple of seasons, which is probably fair. Sarah Ogden is also with us, as Kelly Phillips says. Good evening, buzzing. Play some great football. Let's have more of it. Miller's 6-6 at last win and first goals with a performance to match. Steve Gunner says, evening all, at last a poor performance. We're proud of game. Lindley's with us, as is Bazza. Paula Rhodes says, evening, still can't believe yesterday's performance slipped into a parallel universe. Wilks was her man of the match. We'll definitely talk about Malik Wilks as well. Matt the Miller, although, says, can believe the comments. Great football. He says, performance to match. Must have been watching a different match for an hour. It was still poor, but thanks to Wilks, and the rest was much better. That's Mike the Miller saying that. Yeah, Ben, let's talk about the start of the game, really. We'll talk about the specifics, but there's a few bits to point out, which were changes and minor changes. This is some very non-footballing things, really. I don't know how relevant they are, but they're changes. There was the pre-match pictures of players walking in suits, which I assume is an instruction from the manager, and also the huddle before the game as well. So to me, it tells me that Steve Evans is aware that something wasn't right in the opening few games, and he's just trying to tweak something. And look, it's all marginal gains and whatnot. It probably didn't make a difference, but he's trying things different, and it helped. Maybe it helped. I don't know.
It probably did. I mean, I said this to you. He said that there's obviously something wrong at club. It doesn't take a detective to figure that one out after the season we had last year and the start that we've had. So to do that, I thought it was amazing. You took the mick out of it when they were doing it. Yeah. I thought it was amazing. It's a little bit of just that little extra team morale, that little bit of extra, just kind of getting the team together, because that's what they've lacked at the minute. Because as I said on the post match yesterday, it's 7-8 weeks. 8 weeks is 2 months, right? End of June. That's 8 weeks ish. It's not a long time, really not a long time. So it's just that little bit of extra, trying to get them together, trying to get them bonding together, get them going on game day, sort of thing. And I mean, it worked. I thought the football was still dreadful. I agree with Mike the Miller. I thought everyone's saying the football was amazing. It was still hoofball. It was still long ball every time. But we were just better in the final third and a little bit more clinical.
You weren't with us on Friday, so I'll let you off. But we're now calling it goofball.
Yes, it's goofball.
Yeah.
You weren't with us Friday, Dan and Ben, but it's not hoofball, it's goofball.
I like that.
Danny, like I said, the huddles before games are interesting things because not many teams do them, and they tend to only come in when things are at a real low point. And I wonder where that came from, whether it's Evans saying before the game, get together, talk to each other, or whether it's maybe huddles tend to be from the players, don't they? From me, because it's about the 11 guys on the pitch. I wonder where that came from, and maybe it's helped bring the players together a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely helps bring the players together. I seem to remember us doing it a fair bit under Paul Warne as well. In the needed times, basically. But yeah, like Ben said, it's a perfect way to get the team up for it, and I think that's what it is. I don't think it's a case of pull your heads in, fellas. We need to get a result out of this. I think it's a case of effectively bigging themselves up and getting themselves motivated, because even though the professional footballers and they've been doing it for many, many years, when it comes to the point where you haven't scored in the league and you're up against a team that's won 3 games, their opening 3 games, you are going to have to pull your head in and big yourselves up a little bit. Not in the case of we need to perform today, in the case of come on, let's have it, let's get excited for it. And I think they did that. I think both teams weren't at the best. You can tell it's an early doors fixture from what I saw of the first half. But I think we were just mildly better than Huddersfield. We weren't good, don't get me wrong, but we were just mildly better than Huddersfield. And in the second half, I think that's where all of our poor rub of the green in the opening 3 games turned good in the last 15 minutes or so. That was our rub of the green, and it worked out for us in the end.
Nick in the comments says it was a Rotherham performance. They all pulled together, and the fans also made atmosphere to push them a little bit extra. I think that's probably a good way of putting it, Tom. To be honest with you, I think I don't think the football was wonderful. I think the first half wasn't, but we've been saying this for a few weeks now. We just needed something as fans to hang on to, and that first half they would give us a little bit to hang on to, and then the fans responded in the second half, and the players responded. It's not about brilliant football. It's not about being amazing to watch. It's about giving us something so we get the players something, and then it feeds together, and that's kind of how it went for me. That's how I saw it anyway.
Yeah. It wasn't glamorous football by any means. It was a bit scrappy from both teams. So to call it a good quality game is just sort of lying. But what it did give was a bit of energy and a bit of passion and a bit of enthusiasm behind every action, which I think is important when you're in the sort of position that we were going into the game. I mean, personally, in hindsight, I may have overegged it a little bit on Friday when I said it was a sort of make or break game. I didn't mean make or break. I meant more of it could really go one way or another the next couple of weeks. And I think that feeling sort of went through the entire crowd because it, and in the players as well, because it did feel more of every tackle meant more, and every little win and every little action that was in our favour just felt a little bit more important. which I think really helped the overall outcome of the game and helped them go till that last minute. But yeah, in regards to the game itself, I thought it was I thought they were very underwhelming compared to what I expected them to be. And I didn't think we were. I think we deserved to win, but I don't think we were a lot better. I think it was just a very, very scrappy game, and I think that we competed a lot more than they did. Which that's all you can ask for, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
We're all very depressing here still. I don't agree with. I don't know as I agree with any of that.
Go on.
Yeah,
hang on, everybody. Mick's going to get some praise to Steve Evans, so just settle down for a minute and listen.
I never said that. I never said that, did I? I don't think there was a great deal of goofball, frankly. I think there was a little bit, but I don't think there was a lot. I think there were far more attempts at playing the ball on the floor, on the deck, and far more attempts at trying to maintain possession of ball.
Yeah, but there was only that. There was only that after it was a long ball and then doing it in their half. It was still long ball, but the only difference is in the past couple of games we haven't been able to get control of it in that half. And we were playing it in that half. We were never playing it out front back. Maybe a couple of times. But it was back to Phillips, up to Clark Harris, and then we were playing it about. It was never starting off playing it about.
What I would say is in the past it's been very aimless, diagonal balls. In any long balls this time, we tried to play the channels a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it's less aimless and more for Nombe to run onto or somebody else. There's a difference between long balls, between a long ball and long balls. I think there's a difference. And yesterday was a more purpose to the balls, I think.
Yeah.
And the other thing, as I pointed out, I think it was me because it wouldn't have been Ben because he's not very happy about it all still. On post-match, yesterday, we created chances. They didn't just happen. They didn't just happen because of hooping ball into the box. There was some proper serious build-up to some of them. For me, it was a massive change in performance. Huge change. I'm not saying it was great. We set the bar incredibly low, you know what I mean, in previous games. But overall, I think we performed very, very well. And it felt to me like there was some pattern to the play. There was some direction in what they wanted to do. So whether that's a praise for Steve Evans, whether it's a praise for Paul Rayner, or whether it's a praise for the players, I don't know. But somebody got it right somewhere along the line, and obviously the buck stops with the manager.
I thought we were doing everything we did yesterday that we've been doing all season. The only difference is we were just executing a little bit better. I think in the first couple of games we were trying really hard, but we just weren't clicking, and we just weren't good enough. We just weren't clicking. And I thought yesterday we clicked. We were still doing the same stuff that we've done for the past 3 games. It was just clicking in little areas, which then led obviously to bigger things. But it's obviously evident the team is clicking more. But I don't think it's a case of, Evans got it right or whatever. It's the same stuff we've been doing all season, in my opinion. We just execute a little bit better.
I think momentum's key. With Steve Evans' team, momentum's key. If you can get those balls in the right areas, the momentum builds within the players, and then it builds within the fans, and then it just builds and builds. I think that's probably why the second half was better, because the momentum had built. So then we didn't have to go so direct because the players were confident again. They look, certainly second half, the players look confident again, which they haven't looked all season. Mixture of both. It's good that we're disagreeing with each other and not just all being negative, though, isn't it? That's a good change. These are good conversations we're having. No, Jordan says Mick's going to give him praise. We must have gone to a parallel universe.
That's unfair. I used to give praise all the time. I was Mr. Happy Clapper.
Was, yeah. Now you hate Steve Evans and want him out of the club. You know,
that's different, isn't it? You know, that's different.
Josh Casper says for him it was goofball for the first half, especially from Phillips, but the second half the game flowed better. Phillips got very lucky with that clearance in the first 3 or 4 minutes, didn't it? It somehow went straight to Nombe. Well, it didn't go straight to Nombe. Nombe did amazing, and then nearly scored from it. Phillips got very, very lucky. There's incidents to talk about, so let's just get into the incidents and we'll come back to general performances because there's about 10 minutes.
What incidents?
About 10 minutes, about 6 different things happened. So let's.
What happened?
Let's start with a red card because I think this is where the chaos starts.
Which one? There were 3 of them.
Well, yeah, sure. We'll talk about it. I'm going to put Duff down so we can talk about him and all. Steve Evans got stick for his touchline stuff. Michael Duff's going to get some stick and all. The red card, Mick. Danny Ward. Danny Ward. Honestly, if I were a Huddersfield fan, I would be absolutely fuming with him.
Especially if you're in box with a Rotherham top on before a game as well.
Yeah.
It don't look ideal, does it?
I just don't get it, Mickey. It's a red card. At first, I thought it was an elbow. When you watch the replay, he's gone in very, very late with his head. And whether it's intentional or not, it's incredibly dangerous. And so it's a red card. I would be just absolutely raging off my nut, as Nathan Jones would say. If I was
that's beautiful. I've recorded that, downloaded that. 'Cause that is a meme to end all memes. That one, isn't it? It's good. Yeah. What I would say, let me put it this way: COVID season, Rotherham United versus Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
Matt Crooks goes for exactly the same, very similar, not exactly the same, similar header. And we moaned and still berate Darren Bond to this day for sending him off because both players went for the ball. Is it the same? I'll be honest, I don't think it is, but I'm just throwing that one out there.
You see his reaction. You see his reaction. Danny Ward's
well,
reaction. And their bench, their sideline, their bench's reaction.
Yeah. To be fair to Danny Ward, there's no intent there. No. He's it's not like he's gone for the player. He knew straight away. He was already walking off before the referee. He just knew because he's essentially headbutted him in the face, hasn't it? But yes, he read. There is no doubt about it. And it absolutely set the stadium alight, didn't it?
It did, yeah. Yeah,
it absolutely set the stadium alight. Anybody with eyes, working eyes, cannot complain that that's not a red. I'm not having it. It's definitely a red.
Nick says, I wasn't sure at the time, but it was a foul, but watched back and it's a red. Charles Stonson, can't believe how many Huddersfield fans didn't think it was a red. Tom Kay's with you, Mick. Reminded me of the Matt Crooks card when Lee with elbow end up sent off with the clash of heads. The difference with that one for me is that Crooks got much closer to the ball than Danny. Danny Ward was 3 days late, wasn't it? It was just so late.
Yeah.
Danny, any defence for Danny Ward? We've had Danny Ward. To quote that horrible word, he's not one of those kind of players that goes in lateness. I just think he's mistimed it horribly.
Yeah, I think so. I think the reason why Matt Crooks's one looked probably worse to the referees just because of how tall he is as well. If Danny Ward's a foot taller, it's a complete carbon copy. But like I say, he's gone in late. He's jumped to win the header, and he is on course for doing that. Well, if you notice, he sort of is on his way back down. So, like I say, horribly timed challenge. And he just flicks out the back of his head, and that's what catches McCart. It's not his elbow, which few people have said. He just flicks his head to try and get something on the ball. And unfortunately, he makes contact with McCart's nose instead of the ball. But by the letter of the law, it is a red card. And I think most people knew it, bar everyone in the away end. But, you couldn't write how... how it all transpired. He comes on against his former club 2 minutes later, gets sent off, and then I'm sure we'll talk about this in a moment. And then they go and score with 10 men, assisted by another former Rotherham player.
Well, there's more to that, though, isn't there?
Yeah, there's definitely more to that, which we'll talk about in a moment. But
we'll come on to that.
Yeah, Danny Ward, once a Miller, always a Miller.
And the Danny Ward songs that were going between.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Glorious. Just both fans singing to each other.
Utterly beautiful.
Yeah. Josh Casper said, didn't Angus McDonald do the same against McDonald? I think Angus McDonald got sent off against Norwich. No, that he did get sent off Norwich, but that was a really, really bad left tackle.
Yeah, that was a horrible tackle.
But yeah. Tom, anything on the red card? Just give us just some of the red card itself first of all.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with what everyone else has said. It was a case of it's just really late. I mean, the moment before when he jumps and tries to win the ball in the air with no one around him, and it just completely sails over him. He looked like he didn't know where he was in general. and then he turns around and does that. It's just extremely late. I think, honestly, if the ball's closer, I think it's a yellow. I just think about how late it was. I don't think there was any, like you said, there's no malice in it. There was no, he didn't try and do him or anything. It was a case of, it was very late, to the point where he didn't even need to compete for the ball. But I think that was the real catalyst for everything that the game had after that. I think it made them, well, especially when they scored, it made them drop off a lot. I mean, that second half they were very lackluster anyway. We were excellent second half, but they were extremely lackluster at any point. And then when that sending off happened, they looked like they would settle for a 0-0, and especially scoring that soon after. I saw no way that we were going to get back into that, just because of how rigid teams become when they go down to 10 men anyway. And if you're defending a goal lead with 10 minutes to go, it's extremely hard to break any team down. So to win off the back of that, I think should fill them all with a lot of confidence. But yeah, that was, I don't want to say stupid, but it's, you're not happy with a player if that happens for us, are you? So it was unnecessary, really.
Yeah, I agree. Matt Miller says it was a fuse. It's the best thing that happened was the Ward sending off. It lit the fuse and the game crackled after. To my mind, it was a dud beforehand. Chell Stone says this is the next point of conversation, which probably leads into the penalty, actually. Shell says McCart was still off the pitch too. Apparently, when there's a red/yellow card given, the injured player doesn't have to go off. So I'm going to give you a definition, Ben, if you so choose, from IFAB's website. So the heading is: an injured player can be assessed on the pitch, but should not be treated unless it's a serious injury. The player who is assessed or treated on the pitch must leave, except, and there's a list of ones like goalkeeper injured, which we saw with their keeper. He obviously didn't have to leave the pitch. A player is injured by a foul for which the offender is shown a red or a yellow card. That's an exemption for players having to leave the pitch. Jamie McCart was forced to leave the pitch, and they scored within the 30 seconds he was off, and the goal came from Jamie McCart's side of the pitch. Now, for me, the referees dropped an absolute clanger there, and Steve Evans were fuming, Dylan Phillips were fuming, Jonathan Clark-Harris were fuming.
No. They were fuming after. This is the problem. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is the problem with having someone like Clark-Harris as captain, because if Kelly's captain or someone else is captain, it should be in the referee. As soon as he goes off, why is he going off? Why is he going off? No. Why is he going off? Explain it to me. That's the problem.
You've got to get him a game.
No. There's no way you are that unaware. There's no way you are that unaware. This is the problem with having someone like that as captain. I'm not disrespecting Clark Harris or whatever. I'm sure he'd beat me up because he's massive. But if you have a captain, and it's not necessarily the best player. I was talking to Mick about this earlier. It's not necessarily the best player. It's the most composed player and the best captain. He should be saying to that referee, if he's going off, why is he going off? This is what's a problem of why it's happened. The referee's made a mistake. The referee's made a mistake, but it's also the captain's fault. Why is he letting him go off?
Ref's not going to change his mind, is it?
No.
Well, explain it to me.
But he can't explain it to you because he's
no.
got
He's got no reason to. No. He needs to. No, because if he does that, he thinks, oh yeah, he don't need to go off. Come on. He would have.
Do you really think the referee would change his mind?
If the captain said it, and if the captain said it, if the captain said it, then he's got an absolute right after they score to go in at him. But he doesn't when he don't because he hasn't said it to him. He's let him out. He's let it happen. As a captain, you cannot let that happen. That's what you're
hang on. So what we're saying is we should be surrounding referees more and telling them they're doing a bad job more.
No.
Questioning why they're doing things more.
Should make the referee aware that
why is the referee should be doing his job properly at first place. He's got 3 assistants.
Yeah. It's the referee's fault. It's the referee. Yeah, I agree. It's the referee and linesman's fault, but it's also our captain's fault for allowing that to happen. He should never have allowed that to happen.
Could not disagree more.
Well, you would disagree more, but if I'd be blaming captain because how is he allowed that to happen? Why is he going off? It's ref. Why is he going off? He's got a card. Why is he going off?
And you know what most refs do?
That's all it takes, isn't it?
No, most refs
agree.
And then if the referee ignores it, then you can get in his face and absolutely scream your head off after because you're in the right. But you're not in the right after you did it because you've allowed it to happen. So you have no leverage to stand on, no reason.
Ben, you've got far too much faith in EFL referees.
Yeah,
I haven't, but it gives you more.
How many times have you seen
that referee?
Because have you seen a player? We've seen it before.
It's still. It might take that little bit of, and the ref might go, "Oh yeah," but the captain needs. I'm not blaming. He's saying it's all Clark Harris's fault. It's the referee's fault. But our captain should at least have the awareness to say, "Why is he going off?"
But you don't know that he didn't.
I didn't see him do it.
I didn't see him do it, but you don't know he didn't.
He got near referee.
You don't know somebody else didn't say anything to him.
Clark Harris didn't got near referee.
But you don't know somebody else didn't say anything.
They're not allowed to speak to the referee, are they? Other players.
What?
It should come from captain. I'm not blaming it on him. I'm just saying there should at least be a word of why is he going off.
You know what?
Anyway.
I actually agree with Ed with this one. I fully agree with that.
You've been swayed.
It's just like, wait, has it? Because I mean, it was played in my mind that maybe the referee is in two minds because it's like, oh, it's happened to his head, so it could be a serious injury, so he has to go off, and maybe that's where, you know, the devil's advocate is. But I do think Ben's right. I think if the players are aware of the rules in that depth, rather than kick ball, score goal, pass it around a little bit, then yeah, it should be in his face, and not in an aggressive way. And you're saying, why is he going off, ref? That's not how it works. But maybe someone like Kelly would do that. But I do think it takes a more in-depth understanding of the rules to know that's the case of what's happening.
I think we all know that.
They all knew anyway because they all know that.
Everybody knows. It's been a rule for a couple of seasons now, so it's not like it's something that's unusual. But I'm with Ben on this. You know, as captain, you should be just asking the question. The rule is, ref, if he's got a card, he shouldn't be going off. Why is he going off? And ask the referee to explain it. As a captain, if the referee says he's going off because he's had some treatment, but that's, you know, you can have that conversation with him. So, but like has been said by many people in the comments, the fourth official knows, the linesman knows. They should be questioning the referee as to why he's gone off. Jamie McCart knows, he should be questioning why he's going off. The trainer knows, and so on and so forth. So it's not just about, but the question needs to be asked. It needed to be asked to the referee. It wasn't, he went off, they scored. That's the bottom line. So yeah, the refs made a mistake.
David Lawton says McCart looked to be telling the referee he didn't want the physio on, but I think he needed a head injury. There's nothing in the IFAB about head injuries. Now you would expect there to be something about head injuries. There isn't in the IFAB laws, so the head injury doesn't seem to have shouldn't seem to make it made a difference. Tom, now we've all finished arguing and you've sat there quietly. Just give us your thoughts on the situation and how important was that to the goal being scored?
Kind of. I don't know. I think everyone's kind of overreacting about. I think it's number one. It's a free kick, so if McCart's on the pitch, he's in the opposition's box, and they score from a counter attack. So that's one. Even though it's his side, he wouldn't be there anyway. Humphreys was nowhere near. That was a case of if you have a corner, McCart's not going to stay back for a corner. So why is he going to stay back for a free kick? Granted, you have one more player on the pitch, but I think that just affects everything in their box rather than our box. It also was a poor pass from Thierry. And then James probably should have done better as well. So you can argue all you want about it being, less of a player on the pitch, but it's 3 or 4 things went wrong for that to happen anyway. So I think if you truly getting into the nitty gritty, they shouldn't have scored anyway. That it's just our bad defending. I think having an extra player on the pitch may have helped, sure, but I think it's 70-30 that he actually would have helped. I don't think he would have really affected what happened on the pitch after that anyway. And in regard to what you were saying before, I think I see what you say, Ben, but and I agree. I think players should have a lot more responsibility when it comes to refs. But how often do you see a ref speaking to someone on the pitch and then going, "Yeah, you know what, you're right," and don't get me wrong, I see your point of saying like, well, if you say it then you have a complete right to say it afterwards, and then it might make the ref think a bit differently. But again, it's one of those things that feels sort of irrelevant. That if Clark Harris would have gone up and spoken to him and said, why is he going off? That's not in the rules. This, that, and the other. I can't see the ref changing it or bringing him on. He might have brought him on after 10 seconds, sure, but by that point, the ball's already in our half, and it's already a case of we're still a player down when we needed him. And I think in the grand scheme of things, the whole case of McCart being off was sort of irrelevant in regard to Clark Harris talking to the ref, to then the actual case of him being on the pitch would have prevented the goal. So I don't think either would have mattered. I think what happened because of a really poor defensive display from Thierry and James.
I'm not buying that, Tom.
But he wouldn't even be in our own half. If you watch it back, Cam Humphreys is nowhere near our box when that. No, he is actually. But in regard to it, that still the same thing would have happened, and Koroma still would have been through on goal. I mean, butterfly effect and all that, but you know,
my issue with this, and I'm going to stick up for Chris T here, because that the ball, the bounce on that ball that when he went to head it, it was a horrific spin, and he just couldn't get any power on it. Had he been 3 or 4 inches taller, that header would have reached its target. Had it been Jamie McCart, which is where Jamie McCart would have been, then that ball would have reached James, and there wouldn't have been an issue. But it took a horrific bounce, and he just couldn't get any power on the header to James, and that's what caused the problem. So I don't think there's any blame on Chris T for that. Genuinely, he's out of position. He's playing in a position where there should be a central defender who stood on side of pitch watching, and also the ball just took a horrific bounce. It was awful, and he just couldn't get any power on the header. I think James possibly could have done better to bail him out a little bit there, but I'm not buying that T were at fault for that, because I don't think he was. Genuinely, I don't think anybody could have done any better at his size.
No, I don't honestly think he was either. I agree. I think it was an awkward ball to deal with, and I think he did okay. I didn't think there was ever any danger, but I disagree with the fact that you thought McCart would be back there, because the chance came from the free kick from the foul, which there's no way McCart's sitting back for that, and then they counted.
Yeah.
So in my head, McCart's in the box, and he's not. You know, it's T and James back anyway. So I think
15-all.
Yeah.
We've got another discussion to talk about in a minute anyway. But when we got that 1-0 down, Ben, just talk to me about your thoughts and feelings, because the season we've had so far where things just haven't clicked, the performance was better, but we go 1-0 down straight away after they went down to 10 men. What were your thoughts before the next bit of incidents? How were you feeling at that point, 1-0 down?
I can't believe we're going to lose this game. I couldn't believe it. As soon as they went their red card, the hope and the atmosphere on the stadium, and then they scored, and it's just like, oh my God, they're actually going to win this game. They're actually going to win this game. That just drop of being here, they scored. As soon as Koroma pulled it back to their player, my heart just went like this. Everything just sank. And I mean, we pulled it back well.
Yeah.
But to be fair, this is where long ball, when you're kind of losing, I know that we hadn't had when you're losing, kind of team cohesion and morale is one of the big factors of how you get back in it and stuff, and playing as a team. But goofball, as you call it, is actually the best probably technique to get back into the game, especially when they've got 10 men, because you can just overload it. Yeah, sitting deep, you can just overload it. But no, I thought we did well to come back from it. To say, I'm surprised the players didn't drop. Yeah, because everything, the record we've had over the past 4 games, whatever it is, I'm surprised they didn't drop, and they didn't. They didn't at all. And props to them.
I'm exactly the same, Ben. Exactly the same. Nick says he didn't see us pulling it back because I thought we won't find a way. But Danny, we had help. We had some help getting back into the game. The penalty. Let's talk about the incident before we talk about any sort of conspiracy theories. Malik Wilks wins a penalty. Well, a penalty is given for what is adjudged to be a foul on Malik Wilks. That's as specific as I'm going to be. What are your thoughts on the incident, Danny? And is it a great decision or a terrible decision? Because I don't think it's anywhere in the middle.
I think Wilks has done incredibly well to get in that position in the first place. I think he came on and breathed new life into that game that we've not really seen before. And maybe he was the reason that our heads didn't drop, because he came in and injected so much energy into it. and effectively force us into those positions where, we have the capability to be dangerous. The challenge itself is very soft. However, the defender does have hold of Malik Wilks. He effectively has hold of his hand, and he nearly has it behind his back. So he does pull him down. And from the referee's perspective, that is a penalty, but it is very, very soft. I think to bring a player down of Wilks's frame, because he's a stocky bloke, you need to bring him down with some force, but not the level of force the defender put into it. So I think Wilks has played into it a little bit, but again, it factors into that thing where he has hold of him, he has pulled him down, so it is a penalty. It's just a very, 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 very soft one.
Fair enough. Here's what I kind of see it, Tom, is that I can see why the ref's giving it. He has hold of Wilks' shirt, and if it's given against, I don't think I'd be very happy. Having said that, the defender has given the referee a decision to make, and if you do that in your own box, if you've got hold of his shirt at all, you're giving the referee an opportunity. And bearing in mind what we've just talked about 2 minutes ago, if the referee knows he's made a mistake with the bringing a cart on, he's subconsciously going to be a bit softer on us. And I think it was a bit of the perfect storm, to be honest with you, why the penalty was eventually given.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, like you say, he made the ref have to make a decision, and honestly, I agree. I think you'd be upset if that was given against you, but during the game, he was given the run around by Wilks all game, and I think it was bound to happen at some point. He was very poor there, right back, and when you watch it from the angle that the ref watches it from, all you see is a tangle of legs and Wilks on the floor. And I think it's so hard to give that the other way as a referee. Maybe some refs would, but I think from the referee's point of view, I mean, when it happened, I thought it was a penalty. And I think it was one of those challenges where it's sort of cheating a little bit. Cheating maybe not the right word, but Wilks has definitely tripped himself up on the other player rather than the player has tripped him up. But, having said that, he did so well to get to that position anyway. He did it a couple times where he was just excellent down that left-hand side. Really isolated their fullback really, really well and beat him basically every time. But absolutely, I think I think the ref had to make that decision, and in all honesty, I think he did get it right.
Yeah. Matt Mills says live thought it was a certain penalty. Watched it quite a few times today and thought Wilks was clever. He put his legs across the defender. It could have been a foul away. I said to Ben on the way out yesterday, it reminded me a bit of Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy always does that. He always kind of backs into the defender. It's worked for him plenty of times. It's failed a lot of times for Jamie Vardy as well. But yeah, Mick, you're on mute for a start.
I like it. That's better that way, isn't it?
Might be for the best. I'm going to stand on. I've got to stand on, and I've got to stand by the principles. So, and this is going to sound confusing, but it is a penalty. It's a penalty because he has his shirt tucked, but the referee can't see that. The rest of it is cheating. He's deliberately put his foot across the player to try and get himself a penalty. I'm sorry, but I've got to stand on. I've said this so many times about opposition players. When our players do it, I've got to call it out, and it's not right. It's not a penalty. It's not. He's deliberately put his foot across the player to try and get himself brought down. And to be fair, he didn't even get brought down. He slipped.
Did you?
So I'm calling it out. I've got to call it out for what it is. Because I call it out when the opposition do it. I don't like it. I'm not happy with it. Obviously, we've got a penalty. I'm happy. We scored a goal, blah, blah. I said in the post-match it was a 1-0 game, and for me, it was a 1-0 game. I don't think their goal should have stood because we would have had a defender on, and I don't think that penalty should have been a penalty. But the sort of contrast with that is, in reality, it is a penalty, but it's been given for the wrong reason. Because it's shirt pulling, he's pulled his shirt and shorts, to be fair. He has actually dragged him down, but the referee can't see that. What the referee can see is Wilks putting his foot across the player, and that's not right. I'm sorry, but it's just not right. Mike said Wilks was clever. It's not clever. In my view, it's not clever. You've beaten the man. You've beaten the man, and the ball's going out of play because you're not fully in control of the ball. So it's either going to go out for a goal kick or you're going to throw it. No, it's wrong. That's my view. But I'm happy we got the result.
I'm going to just bounce off what Mick says. I think in that situation, the best thing Wilks can hope for is actually a penalty. So where that's the being clever, cheating, whatever label you want to put on it comes from, because there's effectively no one in the box for him to pass to at that point. No one's caught up to him. He's danced past a few defenders, got into the box, and no one's there for like the short pass. And so the best outcome in that situation is a penalty, and that's where the whole getting his leg across him comes into it. And he's got very lucky with the referee's positioning. Maybe a sprinkle of what happened earlier plays a part in it as well. And that's why we win the penalty. But the referee makes his mind up very, very quickly with it.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and that's why I think the previous incident played, again, subconsciously. I think that's played a part in his decision making.
And there's no you can do about it. You can't really untrain that from people. It's just that subconscious. It's basically subconscious bias, isn't it?
Basically, yeah. And look, all referees will say it doesn't happen, but it does. It definitely does. Yeah, people are upset. Saying he's cheated is hilarious.
It's not, though, is it? Why?
He's manipulated the situation to try and win a penalty.
So which is what? Which
is cheating, yeah.
Exactly.
No, I'm not. But any Malik Wilks fans, stay with us because we're going to praise on that fella in a minute.
Yeah.
Ben, penalty incident. Talk to me.
I think it's a dive.
Okay, fair enough.
I think, yeah. I've seen a little replay that you showed me yesterday. At the time, I thought it was very soft, but yeah, I think it's a dive as well.
Fair enough. I probably fall into that category. He's dove, but he's fouled at the same time.
Yeah, he's got his shirt. He's got his shirt, but he's done that old trick of, say Vardy, it's what Ronaldo did. He's put leg across.
They all do it now.
Force them to trip you. My brother used to do it when we were playing football in the back garden. Him. So nobody, but because of contact, it's a penalty. So yeah, but yeah, it's an old trick, but no, it's a dive.
Yeah, fair enough. We haven't talked about lots yet, but we're going to get through it. The penalty goal, though, Danny, the goal itself. Clark Harris takes. It's on the instant reaction. He's one of the guys you want to take those penalties. How big a goal do you think it is for Clark Harris? Because he is a striker, but strikers need to score, and he's gone all these games without scoring. You think this is potentially a big moment hopefully a big moment for him?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. I mean, in the first half, 9 out of 10 times he scores that little flick of a goalkeeper and the ball goes in. But is it Nichols, their goalkeeper?
Lee Nichols, yeah.
He gets the barest of touches, but it's an incredible save, and even Clark Harris respect him afterwards for the save. But his penalty were it with some conviction, wasn't it? Goodness me, that were an absolute pile driver of a left foot. And he sort of wanted to celebrate, but also wanted to get on with the game at the same time. So he just sort of hits it again as if to go, "Yep, done it now," and then just cracks on and picks up the ball and off we go again. But I do think it is a big goal for Clark Harris because he's had numerous shots on target in the opening league and cup games and still hasn't managed to score. And some of them have been inches and sometimes millimeters away from going in or beating the keeper or whatever. And now that he's got a goal, all right, fair enough, it's technically a dead ball situation, not in open play, but his name's still on the board, which will give him a lot of confidence that he can hopefully carry forward into the next games. And I remember saying to you guys after the Crew game, I think it was, when it clicks, we'll batter somebody, scoreline wise. And if Clark Harris uses this momentum now, we will batter somebody, because if he's on goal scoring form, we can get an hatful.
Yeah. Casper, if I was the keeper, I wouldn't try and save it because it would break my hand. Scott Kent, if the keeper goes the right way, he's ended up in the cop. It's Clark Harris. He's got it's not a wonder left foot, is it? It's a pile driver as left foot. He got the goal, Tom, and I think that's important because I think Clark Harris didn't have a great game to finish. I think he was one of the guys that just was a little bit anonymous. But if he scores the penalty, it gets us back on the board, and that's kind of all that matters for me. What did you think of Clark Harris in general?
I thought it was all right. I thought he did as well as he could. I think service is key to his game, and I think we said this before. I've never seen him be quite a target man, like a proper hold it up sort of player. I know he can do it, but he's definitely more of a poacher. And I think he did as. I mean, he could have had 2 goals, and he probably should have had 2 goals. And there's a couple of occasions where he gets into really good positions, and the service just doesn't find him. You can say he's anonymous, but I think we said this when he signed, is that he'll work hard and he'll do as much as he can off the ball, but on the ball, if you don't give him quality, you won't really see him. He could do nothing in the game and score 2 goals, 3 goals. And I think that yesterday was the sort of game where he'll pop up with 2 goals and you'll come out of it thinking, I thought didn't see him much, but it doesn't matter because he scored 2 goals. But I think there's more to come in a sense of there's more to come from him off the ball. I think he's getting sharper. There's more to come from service to him because he will score goals. He's always in the good positions. So I think it's a little bit unfair to say he had a bad game because I don't think he did. I think he was good. To say anonymous, I see what you mean, but I think if he scores 2, you come out of that and you don't care how anonymous he is. I think Nombe is the real workhorse of that front 2. I think he was excellent. But all 3 of them were Wilks, Nombe, and Clark Harris are a real handful for any League One defence. Because I honestly think that on paper League One defence of Huddersfield is probably the best that you'll come up against, and they made him look average. So I think if they can keep that momentum going, credit to him, and goals will flow.
Yeah, well, Mike Miller saying he thought a promising right back should have scored with a free header. That's probably why he's a full back. Fair point, Mike. I'll come back to that in a minute. I do want to talk about Malik Wilks in a minute, and we are going to talk about Malik Wilks in a minute, mate. But I want to talk about Michael Duff first. We've criticised Steve Evans on this podcast for his and everyone on social media as well, to be fair, because his conduct on the touchline, and rightly so, to be fair. Michael Duff shocked me, to be honest with you. Yeah, because I understand his frustration that he's got a couple of bad decisions against him, but he also had did you see ever got his right back in second half as well? Right back, he was a poor pass. He kicked the ball and pointed at him and shouting at him. Like, that's your own player. And then after the game, he's having a go at the referee. And if that was Steve Evans, we would be sitting here saying, "You need to take responsibility for your team. You've lost. You rightly lost the game. Your players have played badly, and you're having a go at the referee like that." We've got to be fair. As bearing in mind what we've said about Steve Evans, I was really surprised and disappointed might be the right word, to be honest with you, but I thought it was really, really poor.
Well, yeah, it was pathetic, wasn't it? Childish, all the words that we've used to describe some of Steve Evans' behaviour previously this season and seasons before. It was that, but on steroids, weren't it? You know, take responsibility, mate. It's your team, and it's your team. But certainly in the second half, and Evans has not said this in his post-match that I've heard anyway. They were dominated. They were absolutely dominated in that second half. They didn't have a clue, and they were very lucky to get that goal, and they only got it for the reasons we've already discussed. So take responsibility, mate. It's on your shoulders. Don't go blaming other people. The buck stops with you, and it doesn't stop anywhere else. So he got his just desserts in the end. He got a red card, and that's fully deserved. You know, and if our manager, when our manager behaves like that at some stage this season, which you undoubtedly will, I hope he gets one as well, because it's not the way to behave. It's not the way to behave at the officials 100%. It's not, but also it's not the way to behave with your players, because you're not going to gain any respect from your players by digging them out in front of 10,000 people and screaming in the faces and everything else. It's not right. So yeah, you got what you deserved, Duff. And you know, if you carry on playing like that, the next thing you're going to get is sacked. So, mate, you just carry on.
Yeah. Mike asking about the other guy, the other coach that got sent off. Yeah, he got sent off for throwing the ball away.
Yeah.
Mike's also said that Rice got booked for that. Yeah, when a coach or a manager it delays the restart of a game, it's a straight red for the off the field staff. It's not applies to subs as well, but I don't know. You'd assume it would, wouldn't you? But yeah, that's the reason. It came in. Carlos Corberán got sent off last season against Southampton for a slightly different situation, but it was the correct decision. So three red cards in a day. He's good going. Matt Miller says J Boy says so. It shows the way he reacted, how much teams want to beat us. Dave Lawton says couldn't believe Duff berating their right back. He knew he was out of order because 10 minutes later he called him round and now his arm round him. That was done, isn't it? Yeah.
But that makes it worse.
It does make it worse.
That makes it worse because it just shows he can't control himself.
Yeah.
You know, and
completely with that. I disagree completely.
Well, wait, because there's a big difference there between him and Evans, because Evans knows exactly what he's doing and he's doing it for a reason. He just completely lost it.
Yeah, their entire coaching staff lost their heads. That's long and short of it. I think Evans lost his head at Exeter, and that's why he got the FA disciplinary. But I think Duff, his head just flew off anger, and that's all. That's all it was really. I do think he's under pressure at Huddersfield to perform. His team's not performed well. I think their right back just copped brown end at stake. And that's why he had his arm round him afterwards. But just watching it reel off from Twitter, it's like Danny Ward got sent off, goalkeeping coach got sent off, Michael Duff got sent off, and such are we doing post-match. It's like, crap, their heads have gone. Their heads are already on the bus ready to go home. That's all it is. There's no calculated approach to berating players or the officials, which Evans has been guilty of in the past, sometimes this season as well. But with Duff, he's not thinking at all at this point. Red mist descended and he's gone. And just from our perspective, it's quite funny. That's all it is. But I imagine for Huddersfield fans, it's very embarrassing because we've experienced that with Evans, like with the Exeter stuff, not shaking hands and the Wickham stuff as well. It does feel embarrassing because they are your figurehead of the squad. You know, they manage your squad and your team. So I imagine for Huddersfield fans, they have now felt our embarrassment at times this season as well. So I feel sorry for them. But as a Rotherham fan with it happening to Huddersfield, it's hilarious.
Scott Kent said they're all raging off their nuts. They absolutely are. Absolutely were. Jay Boy said, made me laugh. The media team said they couldn't do a post-match due to being sent off. Ben, very quickly, you were disagreeing. Just quickly disagree. We've got to talk about Malik Wilks.
I can't remember what he said. He said something and I disagree with it. He said a certain phrase. I can't remember what it was.
Okay. Should we move on?
Yeah.
Bring me up later and tell me.
All right.
Malik Wilks, Tom. Talk about Malik Wilks because the disappointment. This might be the right word when we signed him, but I can't think of the right word. The apprehension. There you go. The apprehension when we signed him. We read the reports from Sheffield Wednesday. We read some of the reports from Hull. Sorry, and we were kind of worried about the player that we're getting. But he has been one of the best performances in each game he's played in. Gradually getting better for me, but I think he has been pretty consistent. And Saturday was a kind of a culmination of that because he was just brilliant from all game, and he fully deserved that goal. What a goal!
Yeah. He's excellent, isn't he? Every game he's played so far, he's had a little bit of something about him, whether it's goal scoring ability or playmaking ability. He can do a bit of it all. And it really, like you say, culminated into this one game. From minute one, him and Nombe were so tough to deal with. He's quick, tricky. He's aggressive, which I think is quite nice as well. He's very on the front foot. He's a strong lad as well. Jesus wept. He's got a bit of everything, and he's confident. And I think that's the main thing you take away from this is that he's a confident player. And maybe that's what he's lacked at previous clubs is a little bit of confidence. So coming into this club, he's got it all. He should have had 2 assists at least, not to mention winning the penalty and the goal. I mean, he was absolutely, and he was everywhere as well. He looks really good out wide. Behind the striker, I'm not so sure. But out wide, when he can isolate a player, sometimes he isolated 2 players and it didn't matter. He just get around them. And he does that. He's done that 3 or 4 times now where he puts it past a player. It looks like he's got no chance of getting there and then somehow manages to make up the ground. He is an excellent player. I'd honestly love to see him and Hungbo wide. I think that would be devastating to see defenses deal with that. Him out right, Hungbo out left. I think that's a recipe to be. Well, we'll see. But yeah, he is. Really good. He could, if things go as they are, and he is the player that he's starting to turn into. I might need to change my player of the season guess because he is honestly that good, full of confidence, and I just hope. And he gets players excited. Gets fans excited, which is the main thing. And one thing I really noticed about him was that he wanted to get on the ball. He wanted to make things happen. Yeah. For his goal, he absolutely misplaced the pass to Nombe and then immediately hands up in the air, give me the ball, and sort of see what I can do. And I love that in a player, just the amount of confidence he has. He's going to be, if he can keep this form, he'll be excellent. He'll be really good.
Yeah, I completely agree. Matt Miller, he was a level above. Wilks was a level above everybody else on the pitch, he thought. Cheryl got the right word. Underwhelmed was the word. Thank you, Cheryl. That is absolutely the word I was looking for to start with. That's how we all felt, I think. Tom Case is impressed by how physical he is and how well he uses his body without giving away free kicks. David Carroll saying they'll want him back. Yeah, and Tom talks about the aggression there, which at the start of the game where he got involved with one of their players. I was worried he'd go too far, but you loved it, didn't you, when he started getting involved with their players early on?
Yeah, because it weren't Libet. It's not just any player. It was Hogg. It's Hogg, their main man, Mr. Huddersfield, and it's just showing it early as all right. We're here to play football. We're not here to have a cup of tea and a chat. Do you know what I mean? We're here to play football, and yeah, I mean, as long as you don't do out stupid and you're in control of it, which he was. I mean, it's the perfect way to start a game. I think he's got potential to be a really good player, but also a bit, also a problem, a little bit eccentric. I think he's got, as long as you can keep him under control and keep him happy, I think he'll be a really good player. But I think there is also a potential there of he just refused to play at some point, I would imagine. I think he's got that in him. You know, I'm not accusing him of anything or whatever. Yeah. I think he's got that in him to say, no, you've treated me poorly. I'm not playing. So I think if we keep him happy and treat him right and don't do anything wrong by him, I think he's got potential to be an amazing player. But obviously, he's had his issues at Wednesday. We know how their clubs ran. So he's probably stood up to something and had some issues. But as long as he's done right by, I'm sure he'll continue to try and perform.
He's got the adult rats about him, obviously nowhere near those levels, but in terms of if you can treat him properly and get him in the right mind for this level, he'll have a time of his life. And John put a comment here, mate. John Morel says, I think the issue with Wilks has never been his quality. It's about consistent habit falling out with absolutely everybody. For a 25-year-old guy, he's got a lot of experience now.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about his off-field stuff, but his off-field stuff is very, very well documented. But he's had the time at Hull where he was young and did very, very well in League One, and then it didn't work in the Championship for one reason or another. He then had the experience of going down to League One with Wednesday, getting promoted, but again, being frozen out again. He's for a 25-year-old guy, he's very experienced. So I wonder, and this is early days, but I wonder if we've really got him at the right time. And Evans talked him up, and maybe that's what he needs as well. He needs his manager properly talking him up in public, really, really saying how amazing he is.
It's entirely possible. Because, you know, he's at 25, you're not fully matured as a human being. You're not, you know, and having gone through it, having had to go through what he's had to go through on and off the pitch, you know, that's going to mature him massively. But maybe he's the type of player that needs the the rod of steel type manager. You know, Evans is, for all his faults, somebody of the character of Malik Wilks. I think he's attracted to that kind of character because he knows that he can put some of himself in there.
Clark Harris, example.
Yeah, exactly, that sort of thing. Again, very similar sorts of personalities. He can sort of put some of himself in there in terms of the aggression and the fight and the sort of the underdog mentality. They've got far more ability as footballers. I think possibly that might be a bit of a match made in heaven. Potentially, it has the potential to be, because I suspect that Malik Wilks has not had that kind of manager previously. You know, he's had the more of the sort of arm around the shoulder. Come on, mate, is everything all right? You know, let's have a cup of tea and sit down on a rug and put some smelly candles on, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Whereas Evans is not going to do that, is he? He's going to kick him up the backside, tell him to pull himself together, show some grit, show some aggression. Maybe that's what he needs. I don't know. We don't know, do we?
Time will tell, won't it?
It will, but he's certainly hit the ground running at Rotherham United. He may well have hit the ground running at Sheffield Wednesday and Hull City as well. I don't know. But he's certainly hit the ground running here. And he's been the standout performer in most of the games he's played, but certainly on Saturday, he was absolutely the standout performer. Well, he was just the standout performer. I thought Sam Nombe was absolutely outstanding as well. I thought as a front two, if you like, and they didn't really play as a front two per se. I thought they were both outstanding, but Wilks just sort of shaded it for me. I like him a lot, and I think, like I said, I think he's one of those players. If you can, and I don't mean this to sound like it does, but if you can get into his head, you know, you're going to have a player for life, a friend for life. That's the personality he strikes me as. Might be wrong, don't know.
No, I agree. I completely agree. We'll hopefully talk about Nombe. I know we're going an hour already, but I want to talk about Hacks. I want to talk about Nombe. I want to talk about something else as well. So, but the goal itself, Danny, that's just something we've craved for literally 18 months, 2 years. It was just one of those moments that you go to watch football for. We're trying to go the game. And this is really, really, really easy to say with hindsight. But I genuinely felt we were going to get that goal. I just felt like with the momentum was building and building and building. And nobody deserved that goal more than Wilks. It was just sensational on the game. And like I say, it's a really, really good goal. To come back at front post to keep that's such a good finish.
Oh, it's a fantastic finish. And I agree completely with what you said. I mean, Ollie will attest to this. I was just sat watching the tweets coming outside Doncaster train station, and I put a message in our group chat saying, I have a feeling there's going to be a last-minute winner in this game. And crystal ball, it happened. And, you know, I only got to watch the highlights when I got back home. But he's finished it from an impossible angle with the goalkeeper. I mean, the old stereotype is you've never beaten at your near post by a keeper, but he's beaten two players already. He sent one of them into the north stand because he thinks he's going towards the byline, but he's cut back inside and then just tucked it between the keeper and the near post. And it's just such a well-hit shot. And, you know, maybe the better goalkeepers in the world save it, but it's such an appealing goal to watch. I think that's the best way I can describe it. It's so nice to watch everything that transpired in the build-up to it. Aesthetically pleasing, we'll say. But also,
he's no slouch of a keeper either, is he?
No,
you know,
definitely.
He's a decent keeper. When he's not talking about stereophonics, he's brilliant.
Go on, Dan.
You've done me there, mate. I can't say anything better than anyway. It's Wilks' confidence a world of goods as well, because again, like Clark Harris, he's got his goal, and it sort of backs up his mentality of he's got a point to prove with us. He's got a point to prove that he's good enough. Maybe, you know, to convince Danny Roll to have another look at him. More importantly, convince our chairman to buy him at the end of the season if he carries on with this spell of good form. And he's done that a world of good. He's done his confidence a world of good. And again, like with Clark Harris, I hope he kicks on and scores a hatful. If he can do that against one of the predicted better teams in the league. I hope he finds his form against the more League One-y teams, because again, it'll cause him all sorts of problems. He caused all sorts of problems for Huddersfield's defence, and I just hope he does it in future and scores some more aesthetically pleasing goals as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, it was a great moment. We had a good. I messed Ben's hair up so much he went to get a haircut straight after. But yeah, just a really, really good moment. I'm buzzing for Wilks, and I feel like as fans we kind of deserve that for the last couple of years we've had. Hopefully, it pans out more. I think with Wilks, he hopefully not one of those players that's good for the first 4 or 5 games, settles in, and then goes into nothingness. It's important for him he maintains this level, and that's up to Evans. That's up to Steve Evans to make sure he kind of keeps going that way. Let's have a Sam Nombe chat, Tom, quickly, because we're going on. But Sam Nombe was really, really good. On another day, could have had 2. The chance in the first half was almost the same as the one in the second half. That was cleared by the defender, and I'm just liking him more and more. Sam Nombe. There's something there.
Yeah, I think that first, whatever it was, Phillips' clearance, and he chased it down and made a chance from it. I think that sums him up as a player perfectly, doesn't it? It's he don't give up on a lost cause. Absolutely blistering pace. Strong, finds himself in good positions. I think he just needs a bit. Don't know if I'd call it confidence, but I think if he gets that first goal, however it goes in, I think it'll start to flow. He's a similar player. I think he'll start to flow after that. He makes some really excellent runs. I think there was one point in the first half where Clark Harris should have slipped him in. It was such an easy, and then he running offside. And if he slipped him in there, you'd back him. Look, I think them two need to play every game now, just to gel a little bit better. I think there's a proper player there. I think the runs he makes are great. His movement in the box is great. He's strong, got a decent touch, good dribbling ability. His passing needs to improve for it to be, truly everything. A couple passes, 5-yard passes and layoffs were a bit iffy. But yeah, he can do it head, left foot, right foot. I'm still tipping him for top scorer. I think it'll happen, and I think he'll get top scorer.
Yeah, I think one thing's been that's impressive is that obviously first game of the season didn't play. If Sam Nombe now doesn't start most games, we'll all be shocked because every single game we're thinking, right, he's doing everything really, really well. He's one of the first names on the team sheet at the minute. He's ahead of Clark Harris in terms of one names on the team sheet for me.
Yeah, agreed.
I think it begs the question of why he didn't play Exeter.
It does, because he does.
Because he didn't train well, Ben.
I agree with everything Tom said, mate. I think we're speaking to Will Daniel before, and he said he's probably our most saleable asset, and I agree completely with that. I mean, he's got potential to be 7 figures worth. If he can bring 7 figures worth to us, it's 7.
7's 10 million.
No, it's not.
Oh yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, man.
If he can bring 7 figures worth to us, then he's done his job.
I would hope so. We paid 7 figures for him.
I would say, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He's done his job. So
Yeah,
I think he's got potential to be that, especially if he can develop in this league and sort of Clark Harris take the sort of pressure of scoring and being that striker. I kind of just play off of him a little bit and just learn your game without having to. Because sometimes when you get signed as a big striker, there's so much pressure. I've got to score. I've got to do all this. Clark Harris doing that, and Clark Harris maybe being captain, maybe it's one of the reasons why he's made Clark Harris captain. Clark Harris taking that pressure, taking that role as the goal scorer, leaves Nombe to kind of develop and work on his game and play. So if he does that, I think, especially in this league, and the best way to do that is playing in a good team, in a good league, and being at the top of that league. He's going to get a lot of chances, and we're going to be at that end of the pitch more often. So it's a good way to develop his game, and I think there's some real potential there, definitely.
Harry asking his contract situation. I'm pretty certain we signed him on a 4-year contract, so he's got 3 left, including the current season, 3 years left. So that's fine. People mentioned the Nombe after the game when he came off. You could see when he came off the pitch, he was just getting one of those soft claps. But then when he saw the fans kind of react to him coming off and the ovation that he got, it stepped up him coming off the pitch kind of thing. And when he got down to Northern and getting everybody back up, I think he reacted to the fans, and I think there's potentially that was a big moment for Nombe seeing the fans appreciate him like that. I hope it is, because I certainly appreciate him and think he's a great player. I do want to talk a slight negative, Mick, and this is something we talked about on Friday, the right back situation. It's not right, is it? Hacks didn't.
I mean, it is. We signed him as a right back.
I know he did. I know it's mad, but it was a bit of a weak link. I thought Hacks, and there's nobody. You won't find anybody that loves Hacks more than me. To be honest with you, I think he's a wonderful player, but that right back situation is a concern. I don't think Hacks had a good game at all, and I think a team who were performing better, because Huddersfield didn't perform better. They didn't perform. No. A team that performs better would have exploited that situation. I think as a negative.
I don't know, because I don't think they put him under a massive amount of pressure. Let's be fair.
No.
And the sort of mistakes he made, realistically, were ones where he should have scored rather than letting people get in behind him. He's playing out of position. He shouldn't be playing there. He absolutely should not be playing there. But Evans has decided that's where he's going to play until Raggett's fit, I assume. Rafferty, sorry. On the basis that he'll have probably read somewhere that people don't like McDonald's, so he's trying to curry a bit of favour. Everybody loves Hacks, so I will put Hacks there. I don't know. I'm being sarcastic, and I'm just getting a little dig in. I don't know. I've not seen Phil in comments, so he usually tells me that I have to get a little dig in. I'm just getting a little one per podcast dig. It's usually more than one, isn't it? But I love Hacks. I don't want him playing at right back. Don't want him there at all. And I'm sure he doesn't want to be there. But what you do know is, he might make some mistakes, but he'll give you 100%.
Oh, yeah.
He'll absolutely give you 100%. And we just got to wait for Rafferty to be fit, and then we can move him back into his rightful position, which is in Central Park, where we all love him. And he will score goals. Timo Doffin will score goals because he is... I love him. I love him to bits. He's a machine, that lad.
It's funny how he's had the same chance in all three leagues.
Yeah.
Missed and put them all at the keeper.
Yeah. He'll get it.
He will.
Tom Case has found his feet a bit more in the second half. Nick says not mentioned Reece James, quality player. We haven't mentioned Joe Powell, who also had a really, really good game. We haven't mentioned a lot of players, to be honest with you.
Liam Kelly, excellent, I thought.
Go on, Mick. We'll finish with you. Are you gonna give Evans some praise for Saturday?
Yeah, 100%. He got it right. He absolutely got it right, because he's given the players a system to play to. Is that we've not just hoofed it long. We've tried to play football. We've tried to create chances. We've tried to manufacture chances by maintaining possession of the ball and recycling it and going again. I'm not suggesting we've tried to play out front back, because we haven't necessarily. And my views on that. But yeah, he's got it right. Well, somebody's got it right. Yeah. And I'm not convinced how much Evans is the tactical part of the partnership with him and Rayner.
No, I agree.
I don't think he is necessarily the tactician in there. And that's not a criticism. I'm not. I mean, he's the person.
Warney weren't the tactics, man, were he?
No, absolutely.
Same with Warnock.
Exactly. So, and I've no doubt whatsoever that Steve Evans sees himself in this sort of mould of Neil Warnock rather than anybody else, given his behaviour with referee against wherever it were, Bristol Rovers, I think it was.
Bristol Rovers, yeah.
But either way, the management team, whether it be Evans or Rayner or both, probably both, obviously, got it absolutely bang on right. So yeah, I'm credit where credit's due. We've improved the performance. And to be fair, all that's happened is that they've done what the supporters have been asking for.
They've gone back to basics again, haven't they? Which is what we've been asking for. Go back to basics a little bit.
What I did find interesting was you talked about the huddle at the beginning of the game. At the end of the game, there was a similar huddle. And running around the outside of it, jumping up, trying to see what were happening inside the huddle, Steve Evans. It's kind of like that. It's trying to look up at top of the huddle of players. He was not involved in that whatsoever. Just
that makes you sort of think that maybe he's not the one that's organised it, though, right?
Well,
might be a player thing.
You say that, not me.
Quickly.
I'm a happy clapper tonight.
Quickly, what are we saying about the pumps, the fist pumps at the end? What are we saying about this?
No,
Are you yaying or naying it?
Need some work.
Need some work.
Gotta get some rhythm going.
the work that it needs is to stop doing it.
But you loved it last season when Victor did it.
No, mate, listen, this is not an under-11s game. We're not. That's come from Liverpool or whatever it is, or whoever else does it. It's horrible. It's horrible. Stop doing it. Don't do it. I don't like it.
But some people lap it up, don't they? Some, and that's not me. I'm not trying to dig anybody. If it gets to if it look, it keeps fans happy. I could live without it.
We'll do it beforehand then. Get them going beforehand.
And show something.
What's the point afterwards?
They did, to be fair.
I know they did. I know, and I know I'm a miserable old goat. I know I am, but I don't like it. Stop it.
No, 25. I agree with Mick.
Okay. But if you were there, Danny, you'd have joined in with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe.
I think it's one of those.
Maybe.
I think it's one of those. I think it's a case. Yeah. Hindsight, it's a bit. Oh God, I'm punched out by it. But at the time, on the jubilation of a win, you're sort of laughing at yourself whilst doing it. I think I'll do it.
I think the cringiest bit about it is that he tried to get Wilks involved with it, and every time he goes, "No, I'm not doing it."
Yeah. Look, Chelsea, if he does it every time we win, I hope it continues. But I don't particularly like it either. Too soon.
Definitely too soon.
If he does it 25 times this season, we will be buzzing, won't we? Or whatever it might be. So, yeah, I'm happy. We're happy. You have a group of happy Rotherham fans. I hope we've not been. I think we've kept away from the negativity tonight, which I hope everybody keeps everybody happy. I know it hasn't been everybody's cup of tea the last few weeks, but we've got something happy to talk about, which we're all buzzing about. I might ask about a Charlton game. The answer is we don't know, and to be honest with you, I think that's an absolute shambles that we don't know. But it's Monday tomorrow. We're meant to play on Saturday. We don't know whether the game's on or not. I think that's ridiculous. But Nathan Jones is upsetting it. So,
it depends whether he's found out teddies he threw around Reading Stadium last night. They were flying everywhere, weren't they? There were teddies, dummies, all sorts going everywhere. It was a thing of beauty.
It was. Oh, was it yesterday? Were you on Friday, Tom, saying you think they'll just hug each other, Evans and Jones? After that,
yeah, I think they will. I think they'll scream at each other. Yeah, like sort of realise who their combatant is and sort of have mutual respect.
You reckon?
Can you imagine if he were actually here as our manager and did that?
Yeah.
We'd be furious.
They are going to be knocking lumps out of each other.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be hilarious.
It will. Tom, congratulations. You're top of the leaderboard in the Predictions League. Tom,
I think I've gone too early. I've gone too early with it. It's going to go downhill from here.
Yeah. We are back this week. We are scheduled to be back on Tuesday for the fans show, for the fans phoning show. So we'll put the link out Tuesday morning. Be out. We're live at 8 o'clock on Tuesday. If you want to come and join us. The good thing is we've missed a lot tonight. So we've got a lot to talk about. Player performances from Saturday. If you want to tell us how mourned we are and miserable we are, that's great. Go and talk to us. Come and have a go at Mick.
Yep.
That'd be great. If the Charlton game is on, we'll be back on Thursday to preview that as normal. And then Sunday normal. If the Charlton game isn't on, there'll be no Thursday show. We'll just do a Sunday show. We'll probably do a mailbag show, something like that. But keep an eye on the socials, and we'll see you Tuesday anyway. Anything else, boys?
No.
All good from me.
Wonderful. We've gone really, really long today, and I blame Malik Wilks.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What are you going to do? Thank you all for being with us. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you have subscribed and go watch the instant reaction as well. Positive instant reaction with me, Mick and Ben yesterday with some smiley faces. If you're on X, watching on X, several hundred of you watching on X, make sure you follow us. And also, if you do us a favor, go over to YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like the show as well. Give it a thumbs up because that helps us as well. If you're listening, on iTunes and Spotify, give us a 5-star rating, whatever it allows you to do so. And please do subscribe and make sure you follow us next, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you can find us. Please do get involved. Thank you all for being in the comments. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Ben. Oh, but Mick, do you want to show everybody your new tattoo?
No, I'm not, but I'm fine, thanks.
An hour and 20 minutes, and we found mentioning.
You want me to show you?
No, we'll leave it. No, if anybody sees, if anybody sees a wild Mick out there, ask to see his tattoo because his wife's buzzing about it. We'll see you all next time. And as always, up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
I think I always made the comment that once a Miller, always a Miller.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! Good Evans, he's done it again. Another promotion for the big man.
I've got 12 bottles of champagne in my office, and we're going to drink them all night.
Do me a favor, drop me off in